Welcome to Hope on Fire, talk radio for life. And now, today's host, Chris Lang.
The Bible declares that Jesus Christ can save to the uttermost. This means that there are impossible but true stories that only He can write. A story just like you'll hear today. A thief and drug addict who watched a misdirected video and went on a journey that saved his life. Hi, I'm Chris Lang, and I'm your host on Hope on Fire. Today's episode is part one of a two-part program titled Arrested by One Click. My guest is Pele Sekulik. He's the founder of a successful German language YouTube channel, and he's also enrolled in theology school. Now let's join my interview with Pele. I am so excited to have you on the program, Pele. Why don't you tell the viewers how we met?
So I have seen you at Little Lights Studios when you were there. And so I contacted you and I asked you if it's okay that I translate your videos and also if you could maybe work together. And I was really happy about your reaction. You were directly like, okay, go for it. And yeah.
Where are you interviewing from today?
I'm interviewing today from Austria, close to Bogenhofen. Yeah, I'm studying theology here. I'm in my first year. We just moved here from Switzerland last September, and we like it. It's nice.
It's not like Switzerland because I know that's close to your heart, right? Because that's where your wife is from.
Yeah, and really, I mean, Austria is awesome, but we felt in love somehow with Switzerland. You have here also the beautiful nature, but you have to drive a little bit to see it. And in Switzerland, it's like you go out and wherever you look, it's beautiful mountains, all lakes, and yeah.
Why don't you share? And now you're married and you have children, correct?
Yes, I'm married and I have two little children, 3 years and 1 year, 1.5. Yeah.
And today, just so the viewers know, you had a very unusual thing happen with your oldest child. Why don't you mention for a moment what you were going through today?
Yeah, I mean, the whole last week was a little bit, hard. First, he had some infection, and just today, he started to throw. I mean, I sent you a picture like 1 hour ago. He threw at me, and he never had this. I can't remember him having this, and it was generally an unusual day. My wife and I, we were really like we had stress. It was really, I felt there is some spiritual attack. So I went out in the forest, walk and talk to the Lord, and then I could come back. And I was really like, okay, spiritual things have to be seen spiritual, or how was the verse in English?
Spiritual things are spiritually discerned, right?
Yeah.
Well, I share that so that the viewers understand, Pele, that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, do we? We wrestle against principalities and powers, against the wickedness in high places, these rulers that dwell in high places. And the Apostle Paul in Ephesians 6 tells us, put on the whole armor of God. And he said, why do we do that? In order that we may be able to stand against the evil one. And the very
once
first...
you forget this, once you forget this, that's like one of the main goals of the devil, to forget this, to make you think in this world and this physical thing, to forget the spiritual.
Right. Do you know the very first piece of armor that Paul tells us in Ephesians 6 to put on is, most people, when I ask people this, most people don't know the first piece of armor. They think it's the helmet, or they think it's the sword, or they think it's the breastplate of righteousness. But do you know the very first piece, Pele, is truth, the belt of truth. We are supposed to
Amen.
put on first, and that then becomes the foundation upon which all the rest of the armor is put on.
Wow.
And so today,
Amen.
Pele, I want to celebrate the truth that it is in Jesus as we hear your story. So why don't you start unpacking your story for the audience?
Okay, so I'm born in Croatia, in Pula, but my mother is Serbian
Mm-hmm.
from Bosnia. So when people ask me like, where are you from? I always say I'm Yugo, like Yugoslavia. But some people maybe feel offended when I say this. So yeah, for me, it's always hard if people ask, where are you from? I have some, and I till today I don't know my father. I have never met my father, so I even don't know what I'm half like. Which nationality, you know. My mother and my father, they met when they were 18 in vacation. They had a nice time together, felt in love. Both had really, really bad English. So, and, but out of this, I came. The Lord can use the bad things for good. And I'm
Amen.
thankful. And yeah, I lived, I think since I'm two, my mother went to Germany, and with 6, 7, she went back with me. She had to let me with my grandparents to make here all the paper things. We had problems. Yeah, so I'm from Balkan. It's the most easy answer.
Okay. So you moved to Germany with your mother when you were 2 years
Yeah.
old? And did,
Yes.
did you grow up in Germany?
Yeah, till 6 or 7, I grew up in Germany, and then we had to move back, or I had to go back. And in this time, I had to live in Bosnia.
Was this in the
No, it's
90s or the
yeah,
80s? When
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
this?
90s.
You're kind of
And
giving
well, it's
away your
good.
age.
It exists today. Like we have Serbia, Croatia, and all these countries, and one of them is like Bosnia and Herzegovina. And there was a Serbian Republic where I used to live, and I tell you honest, I couldn't believe what happened. Like I thought we were just going for vacations to visit like my grandparents, and then when we went back to the airport, when I wanted to enter in the airplane, the last control or the first, it was I think just one. I'm not so sure, but I remember that the person there just told me, "Hey, you can't enter. Like your mom can, but you can't." And I was really shocked. I looked at my mom. I was like, "What's happening here?" And so we went back to my grandparents and everything. And then my mom told me like, "Hey, look, you have to stay here. I have to make all this paper stuff." It was really hard for my mom, but I'm really thankful that she did this, because if she would have not did this, I still couldn't get out of this country. I I couldn't. Now I have a German passport. I can travel around wherever I want and live wherever I want, almost wherever I want. But with this Bosnian passport, you're like in a jail. You can't leave. So I'm really thankful, but it was a hard time for us. Yeah.
So, where were you going when you were told you can't get on the plane?
To my grandparents. We went back, and yeah, everybody tries to make me understand that I now have to stay, even though I was not like speaking the language. And by I went then to the school there also. Like I learned Serbian and this Kyrillish, we say in German. I don't know, Kirill language, Kirill scribing. What really helps me today in Greek, we have Greek in the university, and it's the
Oh,
same,
okay.
like not the same, but there are some similarities in
Hmm.
the alphabet. Yeah, but it was, I think, 1906. I'm not so sure. The war was just over. There were some bombs in Serbia, and it was really the people were, yeah, uh, the people were not so peaceful. It was really for all people that they were in a stressful situation. And I was the German. I was the German.
So you had a German passport?
After this, yeah, I remember my uh, auntie. She told me like when I got the passport, I took it and threw it in the air. I was like, yeah, finally. I was so happy that I can go back with my mom to Germany because many people have told me she will not come. She will not come and will not pick you up. But you know
Because of the
what?
danger? Because it was dangerous?
Because of everything, that people thought, she will left you here. And I was like, I lived there a few years. I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I'm not so sure. And I was like becoming one of them, like, uh, and so, but in my heart, I always knew my mom will come back because she promised. And I know that she loves me. And this is for me a perfect picture to Jesus. Like, it doesn't matter what people say or how hard the life is, he will come back.
Yeah.
He promised it, and he will keep it.
Yes. So your mom represented a symbol of Jesus in your life that
Yes.
the Holy Spirit brought to your mind later. So you were
Yeah.
10 or 12 years old when you finally made it back to Germany.
Yes.
And what happened in your life in your teenage years that led you down a interesting circle of friends and a path of troublemaking?
I think this starts already there when I have to live also without my mother. You can imagine what a hole this leaves into your heart from a child. It doesn't matter how good the intention is and everything, but if she's away, it broke my heart. And there I started already to be really like, I was always a nice, like friendly, but I was really wild, a wild guy. But let me tell you a few more things about Yugoslavia. Some nice things there were that I was like going. We had sheeps, or yeah, sheep's goats. I'm not so sure. So I went with my grandpa, like in the forest with them, and I was really like a little bit like a farmer, what I have never seen in Germany. We were living in a city, So this was one of the good things. But one of the bad things I want to mention, this is also uh, for my late years, is occultism. Like in Bosnia or in the Balkan countries generally, occultism is really, it has somehow it's not nothing dangerous anymore for the people. Like everybody's reading your hands, reading these cafe things, and I remember even parts of my family having these tarot cards.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to mention one thing. I remember when I was small, I was sleeping in a room with my aunt, and I just got something want to kill me. I couldn't breathe anymore. I was like, I felt on the ground. I was rolling and screaming and try to get air. And I remember my grandma and my aunt out there like, oh no, the boy is dying. The boy is dying. And I remember how they, after this, like I got air, I survived, as you see. And I remember they're watching at each other. Really, there was something in their eyes. They were like, they knew this. I really, later I thought they knew this. And a long time I didn't know what happened. I thought it has something to do with the air, like I tried to explain it, yeah, physical. But many years later, I was talking to my mom, and she was in the same house where I had this, and I sent her just a video about occultism from I forgot the name, but it was Conrad Wein, and after she watched the video, she called me and she said, like, I have to tell you something. And she was like, I forgot this, but when she was a child, she was laying in the bed in the opposite room, and she explained to me how she was laying there, and she sees a shadow on the window, and then the shadow gets on the wall, and then it goes up and comes like
The ceiling?
the ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And when the shadow gets there, it starts to choke her, and she was also like fighting for her life. And after she woke up, her mother woke up and she explained to her, and her mother said, "Are you crazy?" And she got like smashed. But it was interesting. Like, this was my first introduction into this like occult world without knowing it. I haven't known
So,
this.
so Pele, your mother told you that later in life that she had been
Yeah.
attacked just like you had.
Yes.
What do you, what did your mother tell you about the practices in the family? And the reason I'm asking you is
Mm,
because we have had several people reaching out to us who
mm,
have personally been attacked just like you. They weren't practicing occultism, but
mm.
someone in their direct family was.
Yeah.
Someone in their immediate family bloodline was either practicing or in relationship with witches
Mm,
or other people practicing in the occult.
mm.
Were there people that you found out in your immediate family that were practicing?
Yes, yes, of course. I mean, my aunts, two of them, I know, like they did this tarot card things, and I know occultism is also in our family. I know my grandma and my grandpa, grandfather. I know them, and I'm not so sure if there was something, but I know in my aunts, like the sisters of my mom, and I don't know what's one generation above, because I have heard some things, and they called one a witch, but if you take 3 or 4 generations, you can get uh, a lot of people together.
Right.
Yes, but we
That's
had
right.
this also in this house, like also in this house they were practicing. Like till today, I don't like to go to this house. It's not like my
When,
favorite to go there and make vacations.
so when you say this house, you mean the one where you lived
Yes, yes,
in the old Yugoslavia?
yes, yes.
Okay. All right.
So I know that there is till today. I mean, I don't tell her name, but one of my aunts is. I just know it. I got this news like 1 week, 2 weeks ago. I didn't knew this, so I have to fly there and to talk to her, because I just hear that she's hearing voices. She, I don't know, maybe she's sick. You never know this. Where's the line? But I still want to try to get sure that it's not the other thing, like that, not occult, nothing occult. Because if it's something occult, then we can get rid of this much
And
more easy
pray.
than like
Yes.
going to I don't know, therapies, and I don't know. I'm praying already for her, but I want to come to her and to talk to her directly in the same room. I had also already this kind of meetings with people, and it's really interesting. I think it's always good to be there, even though Jesus can heal a person also from like the Romans say.
Remote. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I would still like to have this personal conversation, and I hope I can fly soon. Yes,
So
thank you.
Pele, you were attacked when you were young, around 10 years old,
Yes,
and
some.
and you didn't know about evil spirits. You didn't know about fallen angels. You hadn't learned about the Bible when you were 10 years old. You didn't know anything about the Bible?
No, I remember once I was baptized in the Orthodox church. I had my football shoes on, and I was like, I remember we were in the front of the church, And I told my mom, like, "Hey, mom, you're not really believing this," or, and her answer was really, I love the answer. She said, just for secure, just do it for secure. And I remember I went in and they made this like a little bit of water. I was there with some babies, and so after this I could go out and play. But I think there I really finished in my heart with all this. I was like, okay, this all makes no sense to me. I'm like out. I don't know. It was just so. It was like a dead ritual, and I don't know if this was still a seed in my heart somewhere. I don't know, but I really felt uncomfortable, and this was always just a thing. Okay, what I have to do, but I don't know. It was so unpersonal. Like I remember later when I was like reading the Bible. I never read the Bible before. Like I don't know. I don't know if that most of the Christians are not reading the Bible. Like they're just doing this on Christmas. The church is full, and Easter, and then it's empty. Like for the rest
Right.
of the year.
So you rejected that form of religion in your mind, even though your aunt told you, do it to be safe.
Yeah, my mom.
Oh, your mom told you that.
Yeah,
Okay.
she told me.
Okay.
She
So
told me like
what,
just secure, just to be secure. No, if it's like this, then you're like not in hell.
right, like a good luck charm.
Yeah, it was a good
So,
attempt.
so what happened to you in your teenage years, Pele?
So I went back to Germany. I forgot German. I learned it really fast again, but I always after these things happened, I was really insecure. And then I went to a bad school because I did not speak German at the beginning. But I was fast, like learn German and getting to a better school and everything. But yeah, then the teenage years came, and one of the most important things became girls. So I start also. It's like almost the same story. The first cigarette, the first beer, the first joint, and then the harder drugs. It's like always the same, and that's why I don't like if people undermine the danger of like starting with any of this, because it's a path. You're opening the doors, getting used to it, and in this whole atmosphere, you're like, oh, why not trying this? And before you can say something, you're already like addicted. Yeah.
So, how were you introduced to drugs? And what kind of friends were you gathering around you in Germany?
So I started smoking already in Bosnia. I was really small. I remember we bought these cigarettes, and everybody we meet somewhere, and we're hiding and smoking. And in Germany, yeah, I met friends who were also young and wild and didn't want to hear something about rules and this kind of things. So um, some of them were really just like normal boys, I would say, going through this thing, but a lot of them were also really like criminals, selling drugs and um, yeah, all kinds of criminal
What kind of
interaction.
drugs? What kind of drugs, Pele, were you taking when you got to like that level where it was illegal drugs? Can you share what you
Oh
were
yes, of
doing?
course, of course. It starts like with cigarette, then the second thing was alcohol, then it became weed, like marijuana, And this, when I start smoking weed, it was really an opener. Then I also started to amphetamines. Is it right in English? Amphetamines, like through the nose, cocaine, amphetamines, a lot of these ecstasies. Yeah. Also, I remember taking mushrooms was really uh, a crazy experience. Like things start to move. Yeah, but somehow I must tell you honest, the Lord always protected me since I was small. Like yeah, also in Yugoslavia, I was running away from dogs or hiding from people or even taking some hard things. The Lord somehow protected me always. Like I know people who are really they lost their life or they're still in this circle, in this jail of these drugs. They're making you to a slave, and I'm so thankful that I can now sit here and be free of this and talk to you. It's yeah, the Lord has really protected me.
How many times did you take psychedelic drugs? Do you remember?
Uh, I don't know even when it always was psychedelic. Like um the really crazy time where I was taking these ecstasies, but they were I even don't know which they were, like what they had. You have so many different. You have also psychedelics, and I remember there was a time even my friends who were really like the whole life using hard drugs, they told me like you're crazy because I remember I woke up and I wouldn't eat. I would just take and take and take, and they were hiding it from me. Like it's really nice. Look how God is good. Like they tried to help me, they hide it of me, but it didn't help. I was the whole day driving with a taxi with sunglasses, even in the night. Like I was really this was the hardest time just to get it. And I was taking it the whole time. And even like I remember when I was in a room, nobody was there, and somebody just came in, I would make this and they were like, "Oh man, what's happened to you? You're like," they said, "With you, it's over. There's no hope."
There's much more to come in our overtime segment.
I remember my prayer was only this: please let me get away, only this last time, and I will never break in anymore. Most of the people have problem with silence, especially the people are using a lot of drugs, going on parties, drinking, smoking.
To watch the full episode, visit hopeonfire.tv and look for episode 63, Arrested by One Click, Part 1. And please subscribe to our Livestreams Media YouTube channel. I'm Chris Lang. Thanks for joining us.
Hope on Fire is produced by Livestreams Media, a nonprofit film production ministry. To access this program or to make a donation, please visit hopeonfire.tv. See you next time, and may God set your hope on fire.
Welcome to our overtime segment. I'm Chris Lang, your host on Hope on Fire. My guest today is Pele Sekulic. He's the founder of a very successful German language YouTube channel, and he's currently enrolled in theology school. One of the things that is so amazing in regards to stories like Pele's is for us to see how God is able to do impossible things. Just when you thought somebody was stuck in a corner, God makes another way to bring knowledge and light into somebody's life. I hope you're being encouraged. I know I am. This is episode 63. It's part 1 of our program entitled Arrested by One Click. Now let's get back to my interview with Pele. You reminded me of a scripture in 2 Peter. Hold your thoughts, because we're going to get into what happened to Wild Pele after that, because I know you shared some things with me. So 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 18 says, "For when they speak great swelling words of emptiness, they allure through the lusts of the flesh, through lewdness, the ones who have actually escaped from those who live in error." And this is verse 19. "While they promise them liberty, they themselves are slaves of corruption. For by whom a person is overcome, by him he is brought into bondage." So they promise liberty, but they themselves are slaves of corruption. This is the empty promise of the world. People claim to be free, but they themselves are slaves. You aren't a Christian yet, but God had his hand over you, and somehow you knew that these people who were getting you drugs, somehow you knew they were empty, didn't you?
The world promises you freedom, but they can't go sleep without drinking or taking some kind of drugs. And to be honest, I myself felt this emptiness. I mean, I had it as a child, but it was nothing um, against this kind of emptiness that that I have experienced in this funny adventure tour action life. What in the outside seems so, wow, he's living his life and having all this fun and woman and I don't know, but the heart was really empty.
That's powerful, brother. This is the cry of the human heart. Nothing can fill that giant hole except Jesus.
Amen.
So what are some of the things that you shared with me before that you got into that were dangerous things?
Yeah, so I also became a criminal. I was starting like I was, even when I was small, I remember I was like a thief. When I came to Germany, like, yeah, 3-4 years after I came to Germany, I started to to become a thief. But later on, I started to sell drugs. I mean, I was using drugs and I was started to sell, and even breaking into homes. Yeah, it started random. Like, two friends of mine called me when they were like in a school, and there was I don't know, tresor, a treasure, the big heavy things which have money inside. Safe. Sorry, a safe. And they called me if I can come and pick them up, and I was like, yeah, of course, my brethren, of course I come. And so I went there, and when they told me that there is still a safe inside, and they just took all these laptops and everything, I was like, you don't want to go away without the safe, or I mean, you just did this whole thing. And so I get into it. I was like, come on, let's get the safe outside. And I went up, and yeah, we got it. It was really hard work. And yeah, before I could look, I was entering into yeah, schools. Also, I never liked to enter into private homes. I had really respect of this, but I also did it once. I hear it was also a drug dealer, So I thought, okay, he's the same like me, it's not somebody with family or I don't know. So I thought, okay, let's just go in. And yeah, I will start getting really serious criminal. And my friends, they were just like entering homes, but I was already thinking further. My plan was, um, I usually never tell this, but I tell you, my plan was to make, I don't know, what's the name in this in English, if you like, uh, if you come with a gun and say, hey, give me all this, like
Uh,
bank.
yeah, robbing banks.
Yeah, I
You're
wanted to rob,
a bank
not
robber.
banks, but this like casinos. I thought
Okay.
to rob this casino. So I was already planning this kind of things in my head and was thinking about where to get a gun or should I take a real gun. I didn't want really hurt somebody, and I was like having plans how to continue to this. And but I want to mention one more thing. This was also the time where I really thought, like, what is life? And I really had this desire. I didn't want to kill myself, but I wanted to die somehow. I didn't want like to do this suicide, but if I would have a nice, like, I don't know, shooting with the police and they kill me, this would be really okay for me. I was really okay with the thought to die. And when I think on this occult thing, I know many people who were in the occult, who are really deep into the occult, and many of them have this strong desire to die. And maybe I mention one more thing. My uncle, from whom I got my name, he he committed suicide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And you know what's interesting? How the Lord protected us even in this. Um, my mom, when my uncle have committed suicide, my mom, um, many people from my country like told, hey, you don't want to talk to him, like he's dead, you don't want to talk to him. But she always rejected this, and she had dreams. The devil was really trying to get her. She had dreams. There was one grave with my uncle and another grave which is free, and he said to her, this is for you, come on.
Hmm.
Just finish it. He tried really to get her. It was like the worst point in her life, and the devil was really trying to get her, but the Lord protected her. Like even in this moment, it was the biggest loss in her life. She said no to this, like talking to dead spirits, which are actually demons. So the Lord really protected her.
So this was when your uncle died. How old were you?
Poor, I, I can't say really. I know I
Were you a
was in the
teenager?
school. Yeah, yeah. I was just doing this school for roof maker. I started to learn roof maker in Germany, and I had to be far away in the school, and so I broke up. I just drove away because I realized how bad the situation for my mom is, and so I came home, and she was really like, yeah, it was the biggest. I mean, she named her son the same name. She really loved my uncle, and it was like, yeah, the the worst thing that happened in our family. Yeah.
So you also had. Let me ask you this: for those who are watching, who almost every suicide that is done in public, right? A gun battle with police. Somebody is killed. Somebody's usually filming it. It's a very public thing.
Mm,
And some people are inspired by Satan when they watch this stuff, these darkened
mm,
thoughts that life isn't worth living. Why don't you
mm.
just end it all and go out with a bang
Yeah.
and be famous?
Hmm.
Was there any of that media that was feeding your thoughts, or was this just a sense that life was meaningless?
Hmm. I can't tell you, but what I can tell you that I loved watching gangster movies. Tupac was a hero for me, like all this. If you ask me like this, of course, the media had an influence. You can't deny this. Everybody who's watching television with movies or even with news can be inspired by this. Yeah, of course. But I really had this, you know. But I think this was also this was on the way I realized that life makes no sense, and if life really makes no sense, then you have just two ways. You can say, okay, I lived the life and make the best out of it, like trying to fit all my desires, and I don't know. And the second is to end it, if it makes no sense. But life makes a sense, and I mean, if you look at the truth, where we came from, the whole big, great controversy that there is a God in heaven who loves you. Who came through. If you look at all this, life is precious. But without knowing this, you really get in trouble if you look for an answer.
Did you believe in evolution when you were younger?
Yes, yes. And I remember my drug friends once said something about God, and I get really upset. I was really angry. I was like, how could you believe in God? How could you still? Uh, we are monkeys. Look at the television. You see the proof in the television. Look at the people. We are acting like monkeys. But I was believing in evolution, and at this time, we were taking drugs with a friend, a lot of amphetamines, and we were thinking about universe, Big Bang, parallel universe. And this was the first time in my life I actually started to ask the question where we came from. Not where we're going, not what we're doing here, but where we came from. And this was quite interesting how the Lord acted through this.
Wow, so God may have been using the psychedelic drug experiences that you were going through when you started to see the universe and you started to see what you thought was reality, right?
Yeah.
When you went into the altered state of consciousness, by the way, to our viewers, if you haven't seen our film Mystified, go watch it because we're actually talking about a lot of these things in that movie, which takes 3 hours to develop the truth, right, about what we're talking about today. But here we have Pele, who personally journeyed through all of these things: atheism, evolution, thoughts of evolution, practicing illegal drugs, including psychedelics, going into altered states of consciousness. And there you begin to wonder about the origins of the universe and the origins of man. What happened after that?
Yeah, this was really a funny night. God is good. Um, so I remember I was me, a Muslim and a German. So we went we went to the German guy the whole night taking like amphetamines. I don't know if it's the right name in English, but I think so.
Amphetamines, right?
Okay, amphetamines. We're
Uh-huh.
taking it and starting again this conversation of parallel universe and Big Bang and what what could be. And the Muslim, he said he actually said, "Oh, there is a God, and Islam is the truth." And he was talking bad about Christianity. And I don't know why. Maybe because of my family, I was get like angry on him. I was like, "Hey, brother, look." I know Christians are this hypocrisy, but you Muslims, you're even worse. Like, stop it. And he told me that, look, and yeah, we were talking about supernatural things, okay? And he told me, look, I sent you, and he sent me like days or weeks ago, I'm not so sure anymore, but he said, I sent you a video, okay? You have to watch the video. You will see all this kind of things. And I thought this video is a testimony from a guy who becomes Muslim. And I told him, like, I will never watch this. Like, why should I watch this? I will not. And people who know me, they know I don't watch videos if you send me. Like, you have really to work on it that I watch it. And
this is coming from a man who is now a very successful YouTube channel, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But go ahead, Pele. What happened next?
Yeah, it was really funny because I thought, like, I will never watch this video. And so the night was over, and the German guys say, okay, guys, you have to leave. And we went out, and the Muslim asked me, like, hey, can I come to you? I can't go home now, full of drugs. He's a Muslim, and he will get like stress. And I was like, yeah, of course, come on, brother. And so we go down the street, and I remember, I don't know if was a voice, I'm not so sure, but I remember having this strong thought, like, I never thought about this really. I think this was the first time in my life I thought about this. On the way, I got this thought, like, but wait, what if there is a God? And I looked at him and I was like, wow, just imagine. And this idea, I remember, just this idea of there is maybe really someone, like, who's above all this, and all these thoughts run through my mind. I was like, I told him, you know what? I will watch the video. And I told to myself, if there is a God, and if the Islam is the truth, I will immediately become a Muslim because I want the truth. I was really like looking for and try to figure out there are things with the universe and I don't know. And I couldn't wait to be honest, I couldn't wait to come home. And I remember he was there next to me and I was like typing it. I think he sent me via Facebook, I'm not so sure. And I put play. He said, yeah, that's the guy. And I put play. And the guy starts to talk. And I got goosebumps. The first 10 seconds, in 20 seconds, my eyes were open. I was still on drugs. Yes. But the guy starts to talk. And I know maybe it sounds weird, but I knew the guy says the truth. And I watched him. He sat down, he even lay down, he felt asleep. And I was there really shocked, grabbing my chair. And couldn't believe what I'm hearing. Yeah. Interesting guy who was talking.
So tell the viewers who it was that you were watching that night.
So let me first tell you that I thought during the guys talking, I thought, oh no, how will I explain my mom that I become a Muslim? Because I know the guy is saying the truth, and I thought him, because we're from Serbia, yeah, we always had like problems with Muslims, and I just thought how to explain to her. But to my surprise, the guy never mentioned the Islam. He talks about Jesus, about the Sabbath, about the Bible. He mentions all these things. And the guy who I was watching was Roger Monroe and Seventh-day Adventist. So, yeah, a Muslim sent me a Roger Monroe to convert me to Islam.
Okay, so maybe the Lord used psychedelic drugs in your Muslim friend to mistakenly send you the wrong video?
till today, I don't got it. Like, I asked him, and I think he just didn't watch it till the end. I think he watched the beginning, and I think he never watched the end. And even there, he was sleeping. I remember I woke him up. It was from Morocco, a guy from Morocco. I woke him up. I was like, "Hey, wake up, wake up!" At the end, I have to tell you something, man. This guy is not becoming Muslim. He's becoming Christian. And he was like, waking up, what? Oh, leave me alone with this, blah blah, and just fell asleep again, you know. But for me, our whole world crushed. Like, I mean, I don't know. I want to search him when I go to Germany next time, because I don't know if he realizes how much impact this had on me. Because even yeah, I was still a time in Germany after my conversion, but this video, Roger Mono's testimony, is till today for me, like after the Bible and Spirit of Prophecy, it's the most important person and the most important testimony.
For those who don't know or haven't seen our film Charmed by Darkness, why don't you give a summary of who Roger Morneau was?
Yeah, Roger Mono was yeah, he was a normal guy, I would say, but he became how to say it in English, as and he came into satanic circles of satanic worshippers, like they worship fallen angels, into a, I would say, one of these elite groups, like what you will today you would get like the name of I'm sorry to using this name, conspiracy. But uh, I mean, I met many people and I've seen a lot of testimonies, and this is nothing conspiratorial anymore. It's open. You can see it everywhere. These Freemason things. I mean, if you really want to find out, you will find out. And Roger Mono was a spiritist who entered into the circles and was guided in an awesome way by the Lord out of it, alive, which is not usual. Like usually you can't get out alive when the spirits invite you. And Chris has made this awesome documentary also called Charmed by Darkness. He has it also on his channel, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, if you haven't watched this, if you don't know Roger Mono, somehow I'm, what's the name? It doesn't matter. You have something really, um, man, I lost my English just one moment.
You're
Ah,
strongly
yeah,
suggesting, strongly recommending.
I'm a little bit jealous on you because I would like to see it again from the first time to get this information. It will blow your mind. Like you will see the great controversy uh, with a big open window also into the dark world. Not too much, you know. The focus is not in the dark, but you will still have this open window, and which also puts the Bible and Spirit of Prophecy into another light. You see it's a whole one, and you will love it.
So, what happened to you after? Can you think of two examples that you saw that night on the video that were life changing for you, or that began a process of change for
Yeah, yeah.
you?
I mean, one of the most important things for me was to know that there is really an evil one. There is an evil agenda. They're not just bad people, but they're fallen angels. I mean, fallen angels in the world that we cannot see, which are working together with these people, and people in high ranks. Um, they meet them. Okay, they meet them and they make plans together how to get this agenda of Satan, how to get it into the world. And so for me, I think till today, the most important thing was to get the truth about the whole great controversy that there is Lucifer who became Satan, and then this whole Jesus thing now made sense. I heard about Jesus, I heard it, and as I told you, I was like, my family, they were like Orthodox. I hear this, like Jesus, okay, at Easter you watch a movie or something, but um, now I got the whole picture. And this was for me like the truth makes you free. And as you said, the first armor was the truth.
Yeah, the first piece of armor.
The first piece of armor was the truth. And for me, it was like I felt like 100 kilograms. I lost 100 kilograms of weight because now, okay, now you know there is an enemy. And there is really something happening. It's not just, without this, you lost in space. You don't know where to go or what to see. And
In other words, you didn't feel like life was meaningless anymore. You didn't feel like life was random and like evolution teaches.
yeah. I mean, look at the teaching of evolution. Uh, I think evolution is one of the one of the biggest reasons for suicide today, even though they're not saying it. But if you grow up thinking that you there is nothing, you just become you go back to earth. What we also do, but there is no resurrection, no new earth, no hope.
Isn't it interesting when you think back to your childhood, this being choked by a fallen angel? And isn't it interesting that you grew up essentially with an atheistic worldview, but yet your immediate family members, aunts, perhaps your uncle, were practicing in the occult and getting power from it? But it was an atheistic worldview. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, the devil doesn't care what we believe. He doesn't really care. You can be a Christian, you can be a witch, you can be an atheist, you can be anything as long as you don't need a savior, as long as you are God, as long as you make the rules, you see. He doesn't care as long as you don't have a need to repent and surrender to the God of heaven.
You know what is also interesting on Roger's testimony is that he reveals so much about the plan of Satan. Like he got really, I think he was in one of the biggest circles, like in one of the high rank circles, because he got all this information, which are confirmed. You have them confirmed, like from Gabriel Estevo and other people who grow up in this, like traditionally from generation to generation. So you have this confirmation everywhere, and you also, and it's interesting, you have it also by a spirit of prophecy. Roger Mono, even the Satan priests, they confirm spirit of prophecy because they say, one of the first agendas from Satan was to make the world believe that he doesn't exist, or that he's like a fairy tale with horns and everything. And this also spirit of prophecy confirms. And for me, this also this like what the Satan priests say, where evolution theory comes from. Really blow my mind.
By the way,
like, yeah.
By the way, for those who are watching today, Pele, just for those who may not know, the term spirit of prophecy refers to one of our favorite authors who was a co-founder of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. She was actually voted one of the 100 most influential Americans in history. She wrote over 100,000 pages, over 25 million words, and she only had a third grade education. She was very ill, very sickly, and if God worried about someone making a mistake, 25 million words from a third grade education. In other words, God must have a sense of humor, because God chose a very weak, very uneducated person to write on an innumerable number of subjects, mostly about teaching how to understand the Bible, but also on health, on publishing, on wellness and taking care of yourself, on education. She wrote on all kinds of things that influenced the development of what is now the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Now, as you're saying, Roger, when he was in this secret society, he heard the satanic priest saying things that validated what Ellen White had written 100 years before in the 1800s. That's really something.
Yeah, and what was also interesting that I remember I read it also in Roger's books, and the book, in the prayer books. What's the name in English? You told
The
me.
Incredible Answers to Prayer.
Yeah, I just have it in German.
Yeah.
And but he said it also in the interview that Satan hates the Seventh-day Adventist Church the most, and this is something good. Like if you have to choose something, then choose this what Satan hates most.
You know, by the way, for those who haven't seen it yet, we just recently released an episode, Pele, that actually shows the biblical evidence that God had a last day prophet rising up in history around 1844. And we use 5 different Bible examples to show God's pattern of interacting throughout history in humanity using prophets. And so if you haven't seen that episode yet, I'm just encouraging our viewers. And by the way, in Matthew 24, Jesus warned us many, many times in that chapter, beware, do not be deceived, for many false prophets will arise in the last days, and they will deceive many. And so this episode actually teaches you how to find out who is the true prophet in the end times. And
because
so
it's interesting.
Because in the 1800s, you had the Fox sisters and the modern spiritualism movement. You had the Mormons arose around the same time. You had Sister Anne. You have Jehovah's Witnesses. You had Helena Blavatsky, and you had just a multitude. Yes, Darwin, and the theory of evolution, which, by the way, is still a theory, and yet it's being promoted as fact. So yes, all of these false prophets arose, including evolution, which, by the way, Pele, you know, when I was working on Mystified, this is a side note, the idea of evolution is not new in the 1800s. It's just a repackaged version of what is called reincarnation. The idea that you come back over and over and over and over, and you never didn't exist, and you never will cease to exist because you keep coming back in these physical bodies as an immortal soul. And so that's a form of evolution, and that's why the New Age combines with evolutionary ideas because of reincarnation, you see. Reincarnation is a ongoing, long-term, never die, constantly growing, development of time. Do you see the connection there? Evolution is just a secular form of reincarnation. It just says without the spiritual connection to Hinduism, which, by the way, reincarnation originally came from shamanism, the original mystics. And so I just find this so fascinating, Pele, how God used a Muslim to send you a video on a night when you were doing drugs.
Yeah, it was actually the night was over. It was the morning began, and I watched the video, and really from that day on, like I was never researching something on YouTube or something. Never. I was only like gaming and doing this kind of things, but never researching something. And from that day on, I was really like, yeah, only looking for trying to get more information about this, what he said. And I was still not converted, you know. I didn't give my life to Jesus, but it made something with me. Like I was the whole time thinking, even when I was with my friends, I tried to figure out, okay, if this is true, it's heavy. If it's true, then it's heavy. And I remember I break in two more times, and the last time when we were break in, it was a bar. I remember we were waiting till the bar closes in the night, and then we break in. And two of my friends, they were trying to open this like casino machine. You know, all the bars in Germany, at least they have like casino machines where you can gamble machine. You know, and I was looking for the alcohol, and at one moment it was really late, and usually people don't drive that fast at this time, but I hear a car really fast driving, and then I hear this and I was like, oh no. I thought, hey, I think somebody is coming, and in the next moment you hear the door open and people screaming. "Ugh!" And I was so afraid. I remember jumping out of the window, but really with my head like in front, a little bit like Superman, you know. I wanted just to get out there, and I jumped out of the window. My friends also, and I remember I was running, but I had used so much drugs at that time. Um, I just lost the feeling in my legs, and I fell on the ground. And I'm looking back and I see the people running. They will get me. And one of my friends stayed and say, Billy, stand up, run. And you know, in the movies, the people always say, oh no, leave me behind. But in reality, I was like, okay, I tried. And I stood up and I ran. And I knew I can't run far away. Okay, so I had to hide somewhere that the people can't hit me. And I thought there were some cars in the parking, and I thought, okay, I just jump under one of these cars, and then the people can't really hit me, but the police will soon come and pick me up. So I will have to go again to the police and get through all of this, but at least I will get not really losing teeth or something, you know. And you know what? I ran, and they were behind me, and I jumped under one of these cars. And I remember, I still thought, oh no, they will try to punch me, you know, somehow they will take things, or with their legs, they will somehow try. And I remember they're waiting, like that they start, and nothing happens. And I opened my eyes, and I could see them. And they were like 2, 3 meters from the car, and they said, where is he? Where is he? And I was like, what? They haven't seen me. And they were running behind me, you know. This was for me like the first miracle.
So you felt like God, I mean, because you were running, they saw you because you fell down. Then you got
Yeah.
up and you knew you couldn't run very far. And
Yes.
so you were pretty sure that they saw where you ducked under the car.
I'm really, till today, I don't really get this. But I remember I was under this car, and when I realized that somehow they don't see me, I just thought about this psalm. When you're under his shadow, what's it? Is it in English?
Yes, under the shadow of the Almighty from Psalm
Yeah, yeah,
91.
yeah. Somehow I thought about this right now. I never thought about this in this case. But
Wow.
I was there, and you know what? I made my first prayer. I was there. It was really cold, like it was winter. There was no snow, but it was cold. I had no socks on because sometimes we were like entering spontaneously, and we took our socks for that you don't have the fingerprints.
Hmm.
And it was really cold, and I was laying there, and I thought first one thing: I hope nobody calls me now because my phone would ring. This was like one of the thoughts, and then after I realized, like, they came, then they run away. They run. They were looking for another friend of mine, and but they came few times to the same spot. And I thought, oh man, now they will see me. I mean, they just have to look a little bit, and they will see me. And they came few times, and really, I was like, I remember my prayer was only this: please let me get away. Only this last time, and I will never break in anymore. This was really my thought. I had like enough of this always running and thinking of police, and you see the blue lights there, police is
Mm.
searching for you. And I really like, I had enough. I said, really, please, only this one more time, let me get away, and I will never break in. And and I hold my word, and God heard my prayer. I could go.
Pele, this is very powerful because many people forget their promise and they go on with their life after God answers their plea for help. But you didn't forget your promise.
No, no. I remember I came back, and I told uh, everybody, like, I'm out. But I started to use more and more drugs in this time.
Were
Um,
you depressed? Why were you
uh,
using more drugs, do you think?
Good question. Probably it was a mix of everything, not just being depressed. Uh, I was
Did you feel
also
like
selling. Yeah.
you were still selling drugs at that time?
Yes,
And,
yes. I only promised to
and
not enter anymore, to not break in.
you didn't promise that you weren't going to sell drugs.
No, no, no. The only promise
So
was I never break in.
th- this is very important that God is with you on a journey. God was with you on a
Amen.
journey.
Amen.
And one of the questions I had that came to my mind, Pele, is so many people, when they do psychedelic drugs, they suddenly believe that they have a version of reality that opens up to them when they're in an altered state of consciousness. Did you
Okay.
take more psychedelic drugs thinking that it would lead you to more truth?
To be honest, there was a time I was taking these drugs when I thought maybe I can interact with this unseen world.
Hmm.
Like, not to talk, not like having, I don't know, fallen angels come to me or something, but like to maybe doing things like telekinese, or psychokinese. Is this like where you
Okay.
can?
Or you can think and you can live something up
Yeah,
just
yeah,
by
yeah, yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, this was one of the thoughts. I mean, this was one. I don't know. I would not say it was the main thought, but this was one of the thoughts. I thought, okay, I try this anyway, so I can try also this on this journey.
Hmm.
And but I think I was really running away. You know, I think this was, if I could say it in one sentence, it's running away. Somehow try to get away from the silence of nothing. You know, most of the people have problem with silence, especially the people are using a lot of drugs, going on parties, drinking, smoking. When you're not on a trip, and then you have to interact with the reality. I think I was really running away.
Okay.
This was, yeah.
So also, since you had been convicted that this great controversy was true, your conscience, the Holy Spirit was starting to expand your view through Roger Morneau's testimony during this time. And so the devil knew that the Holy Spirit was starting to work in your life, and the devil was trying to get rid of you.
Yes, yes. And he was trying to get me also, like, I mean, you know, if you try this kind of things, occult practices, which we know, like, you have also the testimony on your channel from Mark Clemenson. I
Correct.
only can recommend this. I mean, this guy could fly and make all this kind of things. And at the end, it was revealed to him that it's not you who are doing this. You're only inviting evil spirits who are doing this for you or with you to even deceive people or only deceive you. And yeah, I
Were
think
you
the devil
being
was.
were you being tempted by the fallen angels during this time to try them, to test them, to see if you could get power through this?
Yes,
Because
yes.
you knew about the occult.
Yeah, yeah. And I really, I just thought like, okay, I would like really just to that it happened once. You know, I was like, once to see this happening, and then I will. And you know, that's a danger thought. And I thought, okay, if I really see this, then I believe it like 1,000,000%, and then I will go away. But as you know from other testimonies, the people don't go away, and I'm really happy that the Lord has protected me also in this time.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting that you went on a journey starting with smoking and then drinking and then
Mm,
drugs and then psychedelic drugs, that you were talking about how this sort of pattern, right? This pattern happens to people. Usually it
mm.
starts this way and ends up this way.
That's so
In the
small.
in the case of the occult and the temptation to try it just once, isn't that interesting? That
Yes.
that is a journey that begins. It just
Mm,
takes that first choice, that first experience.
mm,
And most people don't get out of it alive.
mm.
If
Yes.
and people might be laughing at this while we're talking, but think about it. The increasing number of suicides in the world, they're growing
Mm,
because the numbers of people who are being told by fallen angels in their minds,
mm,
just end it all. It's not worth it.
mm,
And you'll join your family members on the other side, just like you saw in
yeah,
our movie Beware of Angels,
mm,
where one Adam Hendren, who I interviewed in the film, was being told in his dreams by what he thought were aliens,
mm,
take your life and join us on the other side.
mm.
So
Yeah.
you didn't understand the truth about death yet, did you, at that point?
Um, yeah, I know. I knew that after watching Roger Mono, I knew that the death spirits were fallen angels, demons. And I also like, if you look in the Bible, God forbids this, and
Yeah.
for a reason. He doesn't want to talk to the devil.
Right.
Yeah.
So you
And
knew, so you, at this point, you knew the truth about death from listening to Roger Morneau. You had apparently read the Bible by then, or parts of the Bible.
No, no. At this
You
time, not.
hadn't actually opened a Bible yet.
I mean, this time was, look, I watched Roger Mono, and then I started like YouTube research, and I also found here and there like Christian YouTubers in the German language, and they were talking about similar things, and but they also talked about Jesus. And also when I watched Roger Mono, at the beginning I was really like, oh no, like almost depressed because I thought, oh no, look what is he saying, everything, all this whole thing. It's so overpowerful. The evil is so powerful. What should we do? And but then comes the solution, like Jesus Christ, and how he was protecting him. Like, and I like this sentence he said to his friends, I think it was Roland, I'm not so sure, to his friend, like, the power I'm now with, all other powers are under it. Like Jesus Christ, if you're with Jesus, you're like with the most powerful being in the universe. I mean, if you can call it being, you're with God. Like even the devil right now, deceiving people and killing people, every breath he's taking, if he's breathing, he's getting it from Jesus. So
That's right.
and if Jesus says no, then there's no chance.
Right.
Just if you take the step, you have the free will. You can choose. But and that's like when life became nice.
So
Yeah.
what happened to you? So what happened to you after God saved you that night from your last break-in? Then you said you were doing more drugs because you were trying to shut the silence out, running away from the silence. What happened to you next?
There was this night, this beautiful night. So I don't know, I didn't sleep for, I think, 4 or 5 days. I'm not so sure anymore. And I remember I wasn't living at home because I didn't want to stay at home anymore. I had stress with my mom. Police came at home. Like, my mom was always working hard and, true workaholic, trying everything and to be like honest. And then police comes and is looking in her house for things of mine. And so I went out and I lived with a friend and his mom. And I remember I came late at home and I couldn't sleep. But finally I slept, and in the night I woke up. And I remember it was full moon. I remember looking through this window, and the first time in my life, I realized that I'm a sinner. The first time in my life, it was like I felt like 200-300 kilograms weight on me because I realized I was thinking about this whole thing, this great controversy, Jesus and all this thing. And I realized that I'm a sinner, and then all I did in my life was bad. Like it's just shame on me, I was bad in everything that you could do. Like I was really, even though I was somehow friendly or nice, not like punching people or something, but I was criminal. I was in my relationships bad. I had affairs. I was stealing, lying, really a bad guy. And I really realized this. And I started to cry. And when I was crying, I said the most dangerous prayer.